Hello and welcome to the Arventa podcast about the efficiency in the business. And today we have Ed with his business, and we're going to have a deep dive on what he's doing, what stands him out on the market, and how he's running his business. Hi, Ed. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Daria. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on your podcast. It's great to talk to you.
Absolute pleasure to have you as well. Can you please tell a little bit more about your business, what it does, what services, products you have?
Yeah, my background is in organizational psychology, so I'm very interested in human behavior and what drives our behavior and our traits. Over the years, I've worked in a lot of companies. I've done a lot of interviews, and I I found that the process was kind of limiting in terms of I apply a CV or I do a cover letter and I might not hear back. And I just felt that after I did some psychometric certificates, that there's a lot more information about us as humans that we could provide during an initial screening of candidates process. So currently, how it usually works for companies is that they either advertise themselves through, let's say, LinkedIn. They get a lot of applications, which is continually growing right now, and it's becoming a bit overwhelming. Or they just simply outsource it to maybe a recruitment agency, and then they pay quite a large percentage of the annual salary to do that. So they're kind of stuck with either option. Now, I know for some companies with bigger companies with resources, they're able to spend more money on evaluating candidates in more detail. So assessing their personality, their motivation, their traits, because there is a lot of research there to show that when you do understand the deeper psychology of someone and their traits and behaviors, that it can lead to better job outcomes, to less rehiring, better job fit overall, and better performance. So what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to take that knowledge and create a job fit solution for small to medium sized companies. Um, what that will do is instead of the company having to either go to a recruiter or having to deal with overwhelming amount of candidates, this will provide a short assessment for the fit of the candidate versus a job fit that the client has spelled out. And it simply ranks then the candidate in a simple format. It's consistent, it's structured, and there's a lot of research behind the traits and behaviors that we're looking to match to the job. At the same time, this will obviously benefit companies, but you may ask, well, will this benefit candidates? Will they be bothered, doing an initial assessment? Well, candidates are also finding the process very tough at the moment because they're dealing with a lot of filtering of their applications. So sometimes good candidates get missed because they don't have the right keywords and companies simply inadvertently filter them out, or they didn't put certain words in. They spend a lot of time doing applications and they don't hear back. They don't know really if they are a good job fit based on just a job profile. So I'm also looking to provide candidates with a detailed insight about the role itself so they can make a decision whether, maybe I don't actually want to apply for this job. It actually isn't what I thought it is. And then in other circumstances, if they do want to proceed, they're going to get feedback on insights on themselves, detailed feedback on where their strengths are, maybe they have some more challenges, and they'll probably understand themselves a lot better then on what roles might suit them better. And they can also then be available for subsequent roles because, I've been in a position where I've gone for one job and I'm actually more suited to another job, but I have to apply again. So my vision is that they're going to be still sitting there with the company, and the company might have a different role and go, do you know what? You're actually a good match for this role. Instead, we'd like to interview you. So it's got lots of wins for both the employer and the job seeker. But ultimately, it's going to save a lot of time and money for the small to medium sized company.
This is brilliant. It sounds like a bit of mysterious and huge area that is not really in-depth explored. Because when you're talking about specifically the fitting for one job but not being a fit for another job from the candidate perspective, I immediately what sparkled in my head was you can't really put the fish in the job where it needs to fly because it's not going to succeed. So it's
Yeah.
pretty much same area. And I think it's a fantastic thing that you're doing there. And it's going to be definitely in demand because getting the employee in the right position and keeping the employee long time and reducing the employee churn is going to be a massive asset for any company, small, medium, or big one. And the reason is that it's going to save so much money and time and keep the company running from the operational perspective. And coming to the operations, I know that your company is right now at the early stages, but maybe you can share a little bit. How do you run your company internally? Do you use any specific tools for your operational efficiency, for coding, for running your social media, or anything else?
Yeah, so at the moment, it's just myself working on this project. I do have some business founders through personal contacts that I also connect with for certain advice. But ultimately, it's up to me. I had this vision, and it's something I've wanted to do for maybe over 10 years. But I had to get it built, and I actually went and built it myself using AI tools to quite a slick MVP, which pretty much, showcases what I'm trying to do here and allows companies and candidates to get a good feel of as to how it works and to be able to evaluate then whether it actually does lead to better hiring outcomes for them. In terms of social media, etc., that's something I'm still learning at the moment. I'm not from this kind of a background, and I'm using mostly LinkedIn at the moment on my networks. I went to DCU and I studied organizational psychology. They have quite a large alumni group there, which is quite innovative. So that's the way it's word of mouth, and I'm also starting to go to tech events as well to meet founders and to just to get a better understanding as to their hiring challenges.
That's brilliant because there are a lot of challenges out there and hiring challenges and the business challenges as well. And as you have a massive experience in the background of recruitment and all those processes, how do you see the current scene of the employment market, and what are the main challenges for both employees and employers? And what would be your advice to succeed in this market?
Yeah, so at the moment, everything seems to be focused on AI. However, what AI has actually done is it's caused an AI arms race, whereby because companies are dealing with so many applications because of AI, they're creating more filters to stop this AI. And in turn, then the candidates are doing even more AI to try and overcome these new filters. So it's an AI arms race out there, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. So a lot of people are losing complete confidence in the whole area. My approach is to try bring it back to the human to human centric idea of people are tired of not being listened to. Candidates don't hear back. They're ghosted. They're ignored. They don't know why. They need feedback. They need to know that the job is real. I don't know how many jobs I've seen, and I question: should I even apply? Is this even a real job? Should I waste my time applying? People don't know, and they don't know if they don't hear anything. So there's a lack of trust there. So a lot of people are coming up with solutions that are all AI based in terms of let's just replace the recruiter and make the process of finding people better. But to be honest with you, these are people that are not from, in all due respects, from a psychology background. Might be from recruitment, they might be from product management, but they don't understand the intricacies of human traits and behavior and what drives those. And you can't just throw any psychometric test in there. I think that's going to produce results. And you have to know what you're doing. And that's why I feel I have a bit of a competitive edge being qualified in an area, being qualified in psychometric testing from the British Psychological Society. That kind of gives me integrity and trust that, I do know how to measure someone's fit for a job.
I like your point about AI in the recruitment process because it sounds already that the whole world is AI is creating the CV for somebody who is applying for a job. Another AI is checking the CV if that's a fit for the job. So even in the initial stages of the recruitment process, we see that it's AI against AI, who created the better CV to match the job, and another AI is checking if that's the case. And I think it's such a ridiculous situation, because there is no human who is going to be at the end of the day doing the job, because people are
Yes.
trying to get in front of the real person by passing by through AI, using AI tools. So is it here like the enabler as the AI as a tool being that way? But I think it's a little bit overused and exaggerated in the current world.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I can give you some statistics, since 2022, job applications have increased by over 400%. Okay. Recruiters are dealing with that situation, but they have tools that are only built to deal with when applications were 2022 levels. So what they're having to do is they're having to either find ways of filtering even more, spending less time per candidate, and having to make a really fast decision. So a lot of strong candidates therefore getting missed out because of the filtering and the lack of time that they're able to spend. So there's a real problem there that needs to be solved. And that's where I feel there's an opportunity with introducing this human-centric approach.
Yeah, absolutely love it. And I think that whatever can make life better in terms of finding the way to achieve the long-term goals is the best solution for any business moving forward. Because sometimes you might fill in the short gap using AI as the enabler, but at the end of the day, you might be facing a huge problem, because the person created the CV using AI might not possess the exact characteristics that are required for the job. And during the interview, it's really difficult to identify if the person is really the best fit for the job, because interview is the short process, and when the person steps into the role, you might find out something that you haven't identified during the interview. So that's why I think that the tool that you have and the idea behind it is absolutely amazing, because it can definitely support and help companies and candidates in the long run.
Yeah, thanks, Daria. Like overall, I find the whole process is very tough on people, tough on job seekers, probably not great for people's mental health long term. And I also would like it to be a more humane process for everyone, where people understand whether they're good for a job and they understand why they're not good for a job. And that's all we really want as humans. You want to learn and know, uh, why did that not work out and how can I improve myself? But when you don't know that, you can internalize that, and it can make people lose trust in the entire process and give up.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So, and I want to ask you one more question. Just for any companies out there who have one-man business operations, who don't have access to the tool that you are developing, or might be struggling in setting up the business at any stage, what would be your advice how to be more efficient when you are trying to run the business, bring the idea to life, make sure that you have the good outreach? What would be your advice to those people?
So are we talking about scaling up with recruitment, or are we talking about growing a business?
Anything, and ideally both in your case, because you can give both.
Yeah, so understand the problem you're solving. How painful a problem is this for your your market, and is this something that they're willing to either pay for or suffer or have a bit of inconvenience for to overcome? For example, in my case, there's a bit of inconvenience, but what's the alternative? You give a massive inconvenience with having to do it all yourself. You have a massive inconvenience with not having the time, or else spending lots of money on recruiters. So, in my view, my inconvenience is much less than the current inconvenience they're dealing with. So, know your customer, to have that you're adding value to the customer, understand the customer really well, and yeah, be willing to work and develop a really strong relationship with your customers and deliver on their needs.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Ed. evergreen advice that might not be only suitable in today's world, but definitely will be still lasting for decades. Thank you so much for being part of Arventa podcast. Really appreciate everything that you are doing and everything that you have just communicated to the audience. Thank you so much, Ed.
My pleasure. Thanks, Daria, and have a great day.